don't see alpha. I don't see killer will. I don't see takeover gene where he just refuses to lose. Like, give me the ball and get out of my way, or I'm going to figure out how to utilize my teammates, and you're not going to beat us tonight. Right? Have you seen that from him?
No, Skip. But it's still early. He's still trying to figure it out. But he's gonna need some help also along the way. But like I said, Skip, we gave other superstars an opportunity to grow. We automatically assume as soon as you get to the playoffs, everybody, because Magic won his first one, Bird won his first one, Kareem won his first one. As soon as you get there, you got to win. That Jordan won his first one.
Is this guy in that conversation with those names?
Yes.
Is he potentially going to be one of those guys, but like an all-timer?
He's on his way, because 8 years in with 2 MVPs, and that's basically what's on par with what Magic had. I think Magic had 2 at this point, but Magic had multiple finals. Skip, it's okay. Jordan didn't win his first one until what, year 7? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying we gave him a chance to grow. And even though Jordan was averaging 35, averaging 40, when he lost, we never blamed him. Jordan did his thing. He goes and gets you 40 and 15. You're going to blame him. LeBron gets 38 and 12. You blame him. We blame these current superstars and place more blame on them than we ever did the old guard.
Is Giannis not playing with 3 other players who have made all-star teams?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's pretty good.
But let me ask you a question. Does Drew Holiday play like an all-star on a consistent basis? No, he does not.
What did we see in games 5 and 6 against Atlanta with no Giannis?
Skip.
What did we see? I'll tell you what we saw. We saw Chris Middleton go in those 2 games, average 29, 9, and 8.
Yes.
We saw Holiday average 26, 8, and 11 in those 2 games. We saw Brook Lopez, another former All-Star. It was long ago, but former All-Star. Averaged 23 and 4 blocks a game in those 2 games.
But I also saw Chris Middleton against the Nets in the games 1 and 2 shoot 6 of 35. I also, or 12 of 50. I also saw him against Atlanta in the first 2 games have 15 points. And in the first game, he shot 6 of 23. So I see what you did is that you took the 2 games that he played really well.
Without Giannis.
Without Giannis.
And we also saw 2 breakout performances on the road, because he's always been home all-star, road disaster. Right. But we saw a quarter in game 3, a fourth quarter, in which he scored 20 points. Yes. And then in game 6, we saw a third quarter in which he scored 23 points. Right. Well, okay, so he's showing you, I'm ready to break out. Is Giannis ready to break out?
Yeah. But you talk about a quarter. Have we seen that consistent play?
But those 2 quarters won those games.
They did. But you have to understand, Skip, when you have a great player, you're able to play freer because he's going to get the lion's share of the You can make a case that Paul George plays better without Kawhi on the court. Can we not make that same compelling case?
Yeah, but you told me that if Kawhi had been healthy, right now we'd be watching the Clippers in the NBA Finals.
Skip, that's a different argument. But I'm saying, you look at the way Paul George played without Kawhi, when he doesn't have to defer. Obviously, when guys don't have to defer, they don't have to worry about, okay, well, this is Giannis' team. I got to make sure he eats first, and then I'll get what's left over. I can make that case that Paul George played better without Kawhi because he went back to his original way when he was in Indiana.
He's a perennial all-star.
Yes.
He's on his way to the Hall of Fame.
Let me ask you a question. Is Paul George better than Chris Middleton?
Yeah.
Is Paul George better than Drew Holiday?
Yeah, he is. But they bring different things to the tables because they both defend the perimeter very well at a high level.
Yes.
So when they locked down and locked in on defense against Atlanta, I started seeing different. Their whole body language changed because they said, oh, we're now free to be who we used to be.
Right.
And Brook Lopez was once known as Brooklyn Brook when he was with the Nets. And he made an all-star team. And then just 2 years ago, he was on second team all defense and was second in the league in blocks.
But what
I wanted to see him on Ayton in game 1, and I didn't get to see it.
But what do you see different about Brooklyn Brook as opposed to when Giannis is not in the ball game? His buddies on the block. Skip, they don't park 2 jumbo jets in the same terminal next to each other because they can't occupy the same space. So when Giannis is out, guess who gets to go down on the block? Lopez.
Okay.
When Giannis is in, because Giannis can't hang around at the 3 and shoot threes. He's terrible.
Okay. When Giannis is in, Guess who guards Ayton? Giannis does. The whole game the other night, he played 35 minutes, which off that bum knee, that was a lot of minutes to play, and he looked pretty good doing it.
So you think Brook Lopez?
Absolutely, I do. He's just a more wily, savvy, big-bodied defender.
Slow.
Okay, but he's huge. He's long. He's a shot blocker. He's a shot botherer, more than Giannis is.
He's not as slow as Gasol, but Skip, as you get older and you're that size, your lateral quickness is not what it used to be.
Okay, well, Gasol's, I told you, I first guessed that one, that he was going to be glacial slow, right? And he was. And now now you're done with him. Okay, so I told you, I made a bet with you that Brook Lopez would be able to hold DeAndre Ayton under 20 and 15, 20 points and 15 rebounds.
I think he'd have got with Brook Lopez, he probably got 25 and 20.
Well, I wish we could find out, but we're not going to get to find out because Giannis is going to guard Ayton. That's a problem because Brook Lopez is going to drift out and guard Mikal Bridges or something. and on offense, you're going to see Brook Lopez is going to be out at the three-point line saying, I'm over here if you guys remember, and I can make 3 out of 5, which he did,
yes.
3 out of 5 threes in game one.
But he liable to jack up 8 of them tonight and make 2 of 8.
Okay, but he was liable in game one to score 17 points through 3 quarters. Giannis had 13 points through 3 quarters, and guess what happened in the fourth? Coach Bud said, I guess I have no choice. I got to put all my eggs in one basket, and it's Giannis's basket, and he played the whole fourth quarter, and Brook Lopez played 0 minutes in the fourth quarter.
Even though Brook Lopez played less than 23 minutes, but of all the players that touched the court, he had the worst plus minus.
Well, you know why? Because Chris Paul went off in the third quarter and just shot him out of the gym, so he was on the floor for that.
And guess
was he guarding Chris Paul?
Yeah, a lot of them was in the pick and roll, and he pulled up in Lopez's face. So, yes.
Okay.
But you told me he was on second team all defense.
Well, I told you I need him down low on Ayton. He would bother Ayton. I'm not going to say he'd stop him.
Nothing.
Yes, he would. He would have held him to 12 and 12.
Now, you're crazy. Stop that.
No, I'm not crazy. I am not crazy, and I'm not crazy to say this team plays more efficient playoff basketball without Giannis. And we're about to find out, which is why his legacy is on the line. If you've been in this league for 8 years and you won 2 MVPs, your legacy is on the line in your first finals, because I look at what has transpired before your first finals, and I'm just going to quickly hit the lowlights, can I? Because his first year in the league, 2015, they lost to the Bulls in 6 in the playoffs. They made the playoffs, but they lost those 4 games by an average of 21 points a game. That's just wrong. Missed the playoffs in 2016. 2017, he makes the All-Star team. They lost to the Raptors in 6. The 4 losses by an average of 11 a game. So they're losing badly each game.
Okay.
All-Star 2018, they lose to the Celtics in 7. They lose the 4 games by an average of 10 points a game. So when they lose, they just lose solidly, convincingly. 2019, MVP of the league, and they swept the Pistons, beat the Celtics in 5, and here they go against Toronto. Remember the conference finals?
Yes.
They won the first 2 games. And usually if you win the first 2 games and you've got that guy, the MVP, he's going to refuse to lose from that point on, because you would love your chances, wouldn't you? They lost 4 straight games because he disappeared in those 4 straight games by an average of 9 points a loss. And again, he had shot 58% from the floor during the regular season, MVP.
Right.
Shot 44% in those 4 games. In the regular season, he'd shot 73% from the free throw line. That's LeBron-esque, which is not very good, but it's good for him. It's great for him.
Right.
He shot 47% from the free throw line in those 4 losses. And then we get to the MVP, and he's the bubble. We get to the bubble, and he's the MVP again. And what happens? They lose 3 straight games to Miami and dig a hole that was too deep to climb out of, because then he got hurt. But in those 3 games, once again, he plummeted only 45% shooting from the floor and only 54% free throw shooting. It's all about him. They obviously go as he goes. You keep telling me he is the Greek freak. And I say, well, he's freakish, but is he Jordan-esque? Does he have the intangibles?
Skip, you can be a great player without being one of the 2 or 3 best players. See, that's what you got to stop. You can't just say, oh, he's not Magic. Okay, but who is? He's not Bird. Okay, but who is? You're talking about.
You just went to the top of the list.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what you do.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying.
So in other words, if you're not Michael Jordan, you're not a great basketball player.
Well, he's a 2-time MVP.
Okay.
So in this era, at this time, against this opponent, I have to expect a lot more than you're expecting from him. Are you just going to forgive and forget all this?
No, Skip, but I'm saying, so LeBron had won 2 MVPs. He lost 2 finals. And everybody said that's his legacy. Okay, then all of a sudden, he win 2 more MVPs. He win 4 more, he win 4 finals with 4 finals MVP.